yo ne ha yo ne yo ne yo ne yo ne ha yo ne yo ne yo yo gwe hung we 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 yan da de ya hey ya yan da de ya hey ya yo gwe hung we yo gwe hung we yo gwe hung we yo gwe hung we yo Ajoki aatte genha jätti sota kunha. Neiro nada hetstene goni gurio dari hawakwe. Damdawe adun katsera. Agwegumona goro gayana dasera goro. Okay, so we're here now. We're at the Supreme Court, and we just got here a little while ago. We had a very hard time to get into where you see where we are, the parking lot here. We got to, they let us in here because we had an appointment. It's kind of shady how it was set up, iffy, but they let us in here to do this, and now they're telling us that we don't have an appointment. But Mary Code is calling right now to the people that we spoke to on Friday as to that that we have to come in here and lodge this today in the Superior Court of Quebec. The judge on Thursday, just what's that, 4 days ago, 3 days ago, gave us until Friday in which to lodge this in the Supreme Court. So what kind of amount of time is that? You know, like, it's not like an adequate amount of time, but at least we're here to get the process started, and this is evidence that we are pursuing the process. We are not laying down and playing, you know, we're not pussyfooting around with this. So she's contacting them right now. The head of security here just told us that if we can speak to whoever here and they say, yeah, okay, come on in, then the guy's gonna let us in. So we're waiting to see if we actually get in, if they're gonna let us in. But one of the anomalies here is that if you see right there, the security, that there's a security there. You can't get into the parking lot here. You can't get in here unless you have an appointment. So they let us in here because we got an appointment, but now they're not letting us into the building to do the actual filing of the stuff because they're claiming we don't have an appointment. This is the kind of stuff that we got to deal with. Now on Friday we said we gave information identifying that we're coming here Monday and we need a special court liaison, native court liaison, to assist us to work with this in the things that they require of their citizens in which to do. But we are not Canadian citizens, and we are not here at this court because of we're arguing a case within so-called Canada. No, we are bringing forward a treaty grievance, and because the Superior Court of Quebec is the one violating our treaty rights and turns around and says you got a week in which to appeal our violation of you, then we see that the court here is just like we just see it on every level where the courts are not accommodating Native people, where there is no consideration, where there is no such thing as treaty rights. I challenge anybody in the entire country, any politician, any judge, any prosecutor, to identify what are the treaty rights that are supposedly entrenched in the Canada Act of 1982. They reference it in their judgment, saying that, hey, look at, like they toot their own horn, like saying, look how great we are that we recognize Native treaty rights, that it's entrenched in the Canada Act. But nowhere does any cop, does any prosecutor, does any judge ever recognize Native rights. This is the systemic racial genocide of the entire system of so-called Canada. It's the entire thing. It's not just the courts. The courts is where it's where the politicians are facilitated to inflict this upon the Native people. So the politicians sit there and say, oh well, we said Native rights are entrenched, but they know that their courts right here at arm's length from them don't recognize it. So what is it? Canada, so-called Canada, as you know, is a lie. It's a colonial outpost of Britain, and knowing what colonization is, all of it, all of this is the proceeds of crime. It's all the proceeds of crime. So getting justice in the court is not really something that's going to happen. We got to fight for it every step of the way. They tell us no, but then we got to say yes, just like the way we got in here. They told us no, but they let us in here. We had to fight for this. You see, this is the resistance every step of the way. Now let's see, by the end of the day, if we get in this building, then why did they not let us in the building in the first place? At the east door of the Supreme Court, it's the basement. It's where you come to file documents physically. So we have the 3 documents that we are filing here. It is the application for leave to appeal. It's got a whole bunch of stuff in there. And the motion for extension of time. And the, I don't know what that is, certificate, confidentiality thing, whatever. So, we are going in here now. We got, I don't know, it's a kind of a semi-okay to go in and to finally file these documents. So, it's going to be registered here. So, the judge's order on Thursday for us to file an appeal in the Supreme Court of Canada by Friday, within 7 days. Within really just, that's 5-6 working days. This, as we know, is ridiculous. So we're here to lodge this, to just say that we have got our foot in the door, to say that we got the process started, and from there we lodge all the other documents and all of that online. They're really giving us a hard time. There is no Native liaison. They don't give a good goddamn about accommodating Native people at all in any way. It is a complete lie in so-called Canada when the politicians right there, lie and say that our treaty rights are entrenched in the Canada Act of 1982, and right here in this court that they don't give a good goddamn about treaty rights. Not at all. In the Supreme Court and every court on every level throughout Canada, they don't give a good goddamn about treaty rights, and we've identified this, so there is nothing to accommodate the affecting Native rights anywhere within the Canadian judicial system. And this is what I have identified. I was present at the Canadian Bar Association's annual General Assembly in February of 1992, where the Attorney General for all of Canada told all the lawyers present, you are no longer to represent any Native issues based on their rights. So I know that there is not a lawyer, a prosecutor, or a judge, or a court in all of so-called Canada that recognizes Native rights. It is a farce. It is a complete lie to have it said that in the Canada Act that it identifies Native treaty rights are recognized and affirmed. Nobody recognizes our treaty rights at all. So we got to force it. That's what we're going to do now. Okay, so here we are at the Supreme Court of Canada, and as you know, that we reported earlier that we had quite a hard time being here today, you know, but they accommodated. They said no, but then they said yeah. You know, this is the way it always is. So here's the document that we filed. began our process. The judge gave us until from last Thursday. The judge gave us until this coming Friday, so 6 days, 6 working days to file an appeal in the Supreme Court of Canada. So it's done now. Mary Claude did all the work, and the reality of the work that we're doing in the court is that it's complex, you know, to file all these documents and to know everything and to comply with it. It's really complex. Mary Claude handles that part. I handle the part of, quite simply, the argument of the fight in court. You know, so this has been really a it's not something that I'm fighting on my own. Because without all the hoops of fire they want us to jump through, that's not my mentality. I can't deal with like that bureaucratic type of stuff. So Mary Claude has been dealing with that, and as we see that it gets us, you know, regardless of, we're not trained in this. Mary Claude's not trained in it. We're not lawyers, you know, but regardless, we're doing it. It's done now. So we'll see what happens from here. How now this is going to take place, what's going to transpire in the courts, because now it's out of the Quebec court now. See what happens from here. I don't know if you got anything you want to say about the whole process.
Well, that throvoh wampum all the way, and it's I stand as my throvoh wampum responsibility, legal responsibility, and non-native. We should all learn about it. This is our opportunity to make a difference and change really what's the course of things. So it's very positive. It's a lot of arguments back and forth. They don't want to speak to us, then all of a sudden they have to speak to us, and so on. But it's completely unprecedented. We did say we are self-representing ourselves, and it's the original identity standing right here in front of the Supreme Court. So
this is what she is seeing firsthand. She knows, like every other so-called Canadian knows, you've probably heard this at somewhere, right? That, hey, treaty rights are recognized and affirmed. It's supposedly upheld by the Canada Act of 1982 of Section 35 of the Canadian Charter of Rights. But no cops, no prosecutors, and no judges even know or understand what Native treaty rights are. None of them do. And none of them recognize them, as you see even just here, like just to register our stuff in the court. It's a struggle, it's an uphill battle, like we said. First it's no, but then it's yeah. So anyway, she's seeing firsthand, and every non-native person has to learn this, that so-called Canada's Charter of Rights is a lie. It is an outright lie. It is not true. In Section 35, where they say Native rights are hereby recognized and affirmed, they say that right there. The politicians say that. But right here, in the courts, they do not recognize that.
And one very interesting thing is that they are obliged by law to have a native in liaison in any of the court. And we request an appointment Friday, and she says, oh, it's all booked. But I mean, as if natives are really going through that route and asking for it. Of course it's not, and we did mention to her, there's no way he is or she is very busy today. So anyways, it's all just an illusion that they throw at people, that there is actually something to accommodate the truth and the identity of the natives.
Many people in Kahnawake know, you've heard the name, Patricia Eshkabak. She was a native court worker. I don't know if she still is, but I know she used to be. So, and she was there on the municipal levels. They had native court workers, liaisons. But here, you think Supreme Court of Canada, it would be the #1 place where you should have a native liaison, a court worker, you know, to assist native people? Not at all here. Not at all. This is the systemic racial genocide of this entire system. and this is what we are standing against. And so now, anyways, today we finally got the document to identify that we lodged our thing here in the Supreme Court of Canada. So now Justice Imon, who ruled against us, well, now her judgment is going to be up for judgment itself. But we'll see what happens. Okay, anyways, there you go. We're on our way back home.
It's gonna go.